Hello and welcome to the ITL program's 3D printing fabrication request training. In this training, we'll go over how to complete a fabrication request for the standard and high definition 3D printers. My name is Rachel, and I'm an engineer for the ITLP that oversees these machines. I'm so glad you joined today's training because what we'll cover today will make your process of submitting a job much smoother. So let's get started. When you're ready to submit a fabrication request, the first step will be to navigate to, you guessed it, the ITLL's website, itll.colorado.edu. On the landing page of the ITLL's website, you'll want to start by clicking on the purple button labeled Fabrication Requests. This will open the Fabrication Requests page where all of the requests option at the ITLL can be accessed. Make sure to read all the details for each of the shops carefully by navigating to their homepage, as each process may differ slightly. Also note on this page that there is a link to make an appointment with any of the ITLL engineers regarding questions about prototyping. Today, we're going to cover 3D printers, so begin by clicking on the 3D printing option. This will bring us to a page specific for the 3D printers. Let's cover this process so you know what to expect. Step 1 will begin by submitting a fabrication request for the part or parts we want printed. Once you've done a few of these, this is where you'll start, but let's continue for now. Once you've submitted your part, step 2 is for the ITLP staff to generate a quote specific to your models. Once you've completed payment, the ITLP staff will get to work on your part. You will also receive an email that your part is in progress. Please note that we cannot start working on your part until payment is complete. So it is important that you keep an eye out for those emails and process them as soon as possible. Once your part is complete, you will receive an email that your part is ready for pickup at the ITL laboratory. The email will not include specific details on how to pick it up, so you'll want to pay attention to this detail here. Finished products will be placed in Big Pink Locker number 4, combo 4444. This locker is located on a patio by the west entrance of our building and the loading dock. Also note that the ITLP can ship your parts for a flat rate, and you will receive an email with directions for how to do this if this is something you're interested in after your part's in progress. Now let's scroll to the bottom of this page so I can point out a few nice details here. If you have not taken the 3D printing workshop at the ITL lab, it is highly encouraged that you click the 3D printing workshop link and you watch the Canvas course. This will cover things like how to prepare a file for a 3D printer and how to select the right printer. We do have a comparison chart at the bottom that can also help with this if you're trying to understand the differences between our standard and our high definition 3D printers. This will also indicate things like build volume, the amount of space you have for your parts, and the differences in costs and materials. Next thing I'd like to point out is that we don't accept personal material or filament. This maintains that we're efficient and it keeps our staff members safe. So now that we've covered these details, let's scroll back up to the top and submit a fabrication request form for practice. Let's click here. For the 3D printing request form, you'll click on the 3D printing tab. You'll scroll down, you'll begin by filling out your contact information. This is important because this email is where we'll send those updates when your part is ready for a payment, when it's in progress. The perk is if you have multiple members on your team, you can also add alternate contacts. The emails you list here will also receive the updates alongside you. Next, under request details, you'll fill out things like the completion date you'd ideally want your parts by. Please keep in mind that lead times range from 1 to 3 days depending on the size of your part and the complexity. Then you'll fill out information on the department, course, purpose your print is for. Next, you'll upload your 3D print files. It's important to understand that we only accept .stl files. This is the file format that communicates with our printers, or zip folders of STL files. If you want multiple parts printed, you can do one of two things. You can submit a separate form for each part, or you can take all of your parts, zip them in a folder, and label them with the number of copies you want per file. So for example, if my file name was 3D printer mold, I would label it 3D printer mold _ ×2 because I wanted ×2 copies, and then servo motor holder _ ×1 because I wanted ×1 copy. So That's how the naming convention works, and those are your two options. If you submit that zip folder, we will wait till all of your parts are completed to deliver them to you. If you submit them as separate submissions, you will just receive the parts as they complete. Next, you will want to specify the quantity. This is really only applicable if you're submitting just one file. It's still good to put in that naming convention the number you want. Next, you'll select the type of printer you want your part printed on. The Objet, Form 3, and Markforged are our high definition 3D printers. Our Lulzbot is the recommended one because it's our standard definition printer and by far the least expensive printer. So if I wanted something printed on the Lulzbot, I'll click Lulzbot and then I will select the type of material I want. Please note that your material and your printer have to match, which is why if I want a Lulzbot part printed, I need to select the Lulzbot PLA as my material. Or conversely, if I want an Objet part printed, I need to select Objet and then I need to find a material, either Vero Clear Glossy Finish or Vero Clear Matte, that says specifically Objet before it. Next, we want you to specify the general size of your part. So think of this as the volume of a cube your part would fit in. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just gives us an idea as to whether there's a scaling issue in our software we need to account for. Next, you can request a color. This is really only applicable for that Lulzbot 3D printer because we have multiple types of PLA, purple, blue, red, green, white, almost any color you can imagine. These can't be guaranteed, but we'll do our best to meet what you'd like printed. Finally, we'd like a description of your request. What is this for? This is going to help us think about how to orient your part, what features matter, and then any additional comments are helpful. If you want high detail, if certain things are important when orienting or adding infill, things like that, those comments are great to go here. Finally, you'll hit Submit Request. And this is the screen we should see if we've submitted our request successfully. Please note you will now be receiving emails regarding where your part is in this process. So the fabrication request we just submitted will now show up on our list for our ITLL staff to quote and complete. So what I want to go over next is the emails you can expect to receive throughout this process. Shown here is that first confirmation email. Note that the email is coming from an ITLL no reply email. So you should not be responding if you have questions, but rather reaching out to myself, Rachel, using the contact on the 3D printer homepage for the fabrication system. Now what you'll notice is all the information we entered when we did our fabrication request shows up on this email, including a link to ship our part if that's something we decide we need to do. Again, shipping is optional. Another thing to note on this confirmation email is a walkthrough of the process that our part will now go through right here. Let's assume some time has passed and our ITLP staff has had a chance to quote our part. At that point, our part will change to the payment pending stage. We will receive another email that we'll go through in a moment that shows how much we need to pay in order for our part to start the fabrication process. After we've paid for our part, we'll move into an in-progress stage. This means the request is being worked on by our ITLL staff. If there is an issue with our part that we need to address, those of us that have submitted a request will receive another email. What this email means, customer action needed, is that our staff needs your assistance to complete your part. A part may be set to the delayed status in the case that our system is overwhelmed or that something has happened with our machine. So you will be alerted that your part is being delayed. When your part is ready for pickup, you will receive another email that says, come on over and pick up your part outside the ITLL. If your part is being shipped, you'd also receive a notice that the shipment has been made. Finally, if you decide to cancel your request at any point, you will receive an email regarding that status change. So at this point, let's go back to where we are in the process right now. We've successfully submitted a request and we're waiting for the ITL staff to quote it manually for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait until we receive an email that says payment pending. That email will look like this, right? So a payment pending email. This email means that the ITL staff has had the opportunity to manually quote how much your part will cost. Here is now the link that you will click on to pay for your part so we can start fabricating it. This is an example of what the form will look like. You can go through this form and see your information that you entered about the order, and when you're ready to pay for it, you can click here to pay for your part in PayPal. All you'll need is a credit card to pay for that there. Once you have done that, our staff will see that you have paid and they'll begin working on your part. So let's take a look at the emails you'll receive throughout this process. Once you've paid, you will receive an email that says payment is complete, ready for fabrication. This tells our staff that we're ready to print your part. Then once our staff has begun to print your part, you'll receive an email that lets you know that your part is currently in progress. We now click on this extra additional ... You'll see that you still have the opportunity to select shipping if you've somehow changed your mind and decided you want your item shipped rather than to pick it up in person. Then once your part is complete, the final email you'll receive is an email that tells you that your part is ready for pickup. What you will notice is that there are really no details here about the location to pick your part up, as mentioned previously. So as a reminder, you can go to the 3D printer fabrication homepage and you can look at this step 3 where it lets you know that your finished part will be placed in an ITL locker with this combination outside of the west wall of the building near our loading dock. At this point, this concludes our training. Again, if you need any support, have questions, or issues throughout the process, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for joining. Bye.